It's just what you're supposed to do. I think, number one, you should do it as a human. You do it as a Marine because he's my Marine brother. I would do it for you because you're also military. I would do it for you if you were a civilian. I don't care. I think, God's got a bigger purpose for all of us. I believe there's one thing I will say real quick is we all have a currency in our life called time. It's either do or die. Semper Fi, do or die.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. If I see a wall in front of me, I'm not going to let it stop me. I don't care how big the wall is, how thick it is, or what it's made of. I'm either going to go around it, under it, over it, through it, or I'll call in air support and I'll blow the hell out of it. And
Hello, everyone. This is Michael Yearby, and I'm here with Unfiltered Conversations, and I'm here with Jay. Jay talks about the strength within. It's always too soon to quit. And he is a wonderful author, been through a lot of different things, experienced in the Marine Corps as a veteran, multiple assignments, multiple near-death experiences, partial paralysis, dozens of surgeries. But look at him now. He is a man who never quits. I'm here with Jay. Jay, thank you so much.
hey, Michael, it's good to finally make it here. I know we've tried this several times, so good to see you.
And good to see you too.
Good to see you.
It is crazy out here, especially in Korea, but it's fun nonetheless.
It is.
Yes, it is. You said one thing that's pretty remarkable in researching you. You said, don't ask why, ask why not. What's the real story behind that saying for you?
Never been asked that before. I think it really gets back to the people that go, it's like if uh, your dad or your somebody else just says, do something, or here, I want you to do it, or do it this way, or it can't be done that way, or it all depends on what the question or what the comment is. Most people say, well, why? Or, why should I, or whatever. No, I say, well, why not? In other words, that can't be done. For example, that's what got me going. People go, why? I go, why can't it be done? You never put enough effort into it. You never put enough perseverance into it. You didn't have the right attitude, if you will. So, don't ask why, just ask why not. Why couldn't I do this? Why can't I do this? I don't think I should be able to tell you that you can't do something, because then you're going to say, well, why not? So I think that's just it. It's just a basic, simple little thought pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's pretty awesome, that non-negotiable mindset. You talked about also, being a Marine, your life of basically joining in 66 and whatnot. And when you talk about, the purpose of saving lives, because you have been through so much, what was that season or where purpose wasn't clear? And what did it cost you?
Well, I died trying to save another Marine. It's just what you're supposed to do. I think, number one, you should do it as a human. You do it as a Marine because he's my Marine brother. I would do it for you because you're also military. I would do it for you if you were a civilian. I don't care. I think, God's got a bigger purpose for all of us, but it's a duty. I don't know how the second part of your question, I lost it.
Yeah, so basically it flows in. It's like, with that season of your life, like where's that the purpose wasn't clear? Like what did it cost you to go and try to help people?
Well, what it cost me in that case was my life. And it cost me my life. It cost me a lot of damage that I've had 73 surgeries now over the years, do a couple of other things too. But a lot of those came from that. 3rd-degree burns. I mean, my left foot turned backwards, 32 facial fractures. I mean, ribs punctured. I mean, shoulders, knees, hips, pelvises, everything was destroyed. So that cost me, but it cost me. I'll tell you one thing that it cost me, Michael, that a lot of people don't realize, and that's I have a guilt complex of survivor guilt
Uh,
because Linda passed away after 18 months, and she was trying to hold the compress, and I showed her how to put the pressure compress press the same as you're trained in the Air Force. If somebody's damaged badly, get pressure on that. And when the accident happened and she passed away, I mean, I lived. She didn't. And Roy passed away from a heart attack 6, 7 months ago after he had burns over 60% of his body. And I'm still alive. Why me?
Yeah.
Why me? So I just say it's a God thing.
Man.
I really do. I believe it's there's one thing I will say real quick is we all have a currency in our life called time. It's life. It's life. And you can check your bank account, but you can't check the number of days that God gave you on this earth, because the second you were conceived, not born, conceived,
Yeah.
he gave you X number of days, weeks, months, years, seconds, whatever. And one of these days they're going to be up and you don't know what they are. It really, and I don't think a lot of people think about that. If you may for a second, because I don't think a lot of people understand the true value of life and time put together until they've been dead, near dead, a death experience, or something that they were afraid they were going to die. I mean, if I was you and I was working on a jet and I'm in charge of the ordnance and there's a bomb falls off the plane and I right on a tarmac, I'm going to go, ah, it's like, it didn't go off or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And does that change your outlook on life and the life of time? Because how long ago was it that you were 30 years old? Wasn't very long. Because I had somebody here recently say, what would you have to say to the younger generations? And I go, well, I'm 76. What's the younger generation? 50? I mean, you got several years to go to get to 50. So there's a lot, but that's what it did to me. It gave me I think that I live every day with survivor's guilt. Every day I think about it. Every day I pray about it. Every day I look back and I thank God for my life and what I've been able to accomplish and make it through. And I pray and I trust God for my future and what I can do and what he's got planned for me.
It's pretty amazing how you talk about survivor's guilt. And, especially when you go out and try to help other people and you're dealing with survivor guilt and and it's been on your heart for years. How do you relay that message to people who think that they're gonna get over things? Like for me, I know I'm only 42 years old and I have dealt with some big rocks in my life that I continue to deal with that it never really passes, by, right? It's something that you have to deal with
Right.
daily. How do you relay that to people and let them know that, hey, you're never gonna be necessarily over this, but you can get through this?
I don't know that it's ever come up directly in that kind of a question, but I would have to just assure people it'll pass. You have to get through it. It's my paralysis. What am I going to do about that? Well, you just got to work with it. A buddy of mine stopped by this afternoon and he lost both his legs at the Hidatha Dam in '09. He gets around better than I. Well, I mean, he gets around good, technically with his prosthetics. I don't, and I've got legs.
Yeah.
They just don't work. But so you got to trust that there's a plan, I believe, and just you got to have the faith. And there's a difference between faith and belief
Mhm.
and the word hope, because you can hope all day that you did a good job or hope that you're going to do a good job. But if you believe it in your heart and you have the faith in your heart, it's a whole different, it's much stronger. Hope is hope. Hope is good. I hope I win the lottery, but I don't have much faith that I'm going to get the winning ticket.
Yes, yes.
So I guess let's look at it that way.
Yeah. So I would ask you, being 73 years old, you've seen and you experienced
76.
76,
Here we go.
experienced so many different generations,
Yes, sir.
uh, from the, baby boomers to Generation X, Y, and Z, and then now I guess we got Generation Alpha, right? And
I
so,
don't know.
yeah, it's so many, right? What do you see that is missing in those generations that maybe is a concern for you. That's why you're constantly, trying to talk to basically not just the younger generation, just people in general, letting them know your story and how to make that change.
I don't know the labels on what ages the generations are or what ages the generations are that have the labels.
Yeah.
So to me, a person's a person.
Hmm.
But I believe it's just kind of there's 10 two-letter words that really make a lot of sense to people, and that is, if it is to be, it is up to me.
Uh,
If it is to be, it is up to
to
me.
me.
Now, Mr. Smith, what I can tell you is that unless you do it, it's not going to happen. I can't take your driver's test for you. You
Yeah.
have to do it. So unless you man up and accept the responsibility and are determined to do it,
Hmm.
I can't do it for you. But that's a good question. I've been asked by a Air Force colonel here 2 days ago to speak to 6 classes for the ROTC over here at a high school.
Hmm.
And he wants me to talk about perseverance and determination.
Hmm.
And I will talk to them different than an Air Force colonel does.
Yeah. 100%.
It's just because I come from a different generation. I come from a different mindset
Yeah.
because the Marine Corps is a different animal.
Yes, it is.
We don't know the word quit. It's either do or die. Semper Fi, do or die. It doesn't matter. And you're going to die doing it. So I think the issue is just try to get them to understand that it has to be done. Can you do it? And here's a good one too, is to me, people can do anything,
Mm,
but there's a difference between can't and won't.
yeah.
In your line, you can say, I need you to take care of this. Well, I can't do that, sir. I can't do that. No, they can do it. They just won't do it. And that's the key. That's the key. And once you try to get that across, I think that's maybe where you're coming from. But that's a good question. It's got probably a lot of answers to it. But until I was really faced with it, and then it just automatically comes out. I mean, in real life, if I was faced with that scenario in real life, I don't know.
You know,
It just happens.
it's pretty funny. You make me think about when I'm talking to my subordinates and I'm letting them know, like, hey, you will do this. And they be like, well, I'm going to try. And I'm like, no, no try. You will. And so one of my subordinates say, okay, sir, I will try.
I will try.
I was, serious face, but I started laughing to myself because these kids are so different. These kids are so different.
Well, I'm going to throw this out when you say about about the trying thing is, I was on a podcast with a gentleman and we talked about Yoda in the movie. What was that?
Star Wars.
Star Wars. And the gospel according to Yoda was do or do not. You still got to try
Yeah.
to do it, but you can do it. So in essence, back to your comment, what do you mean you don't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny to me. It's funny to me. You being in the Marines, having that Marine discipline, and you talked about a little bit off air how it transitioned for you, basically going into the entrepreneurial route where you was teaching different businesses overseas and the different things like that and helping them problem solve. What did the Marines give you that, you still lean on today? And what have you unlearned from the Marines that helped you, I guess, progress, if any?
Number one, it's been almost 6 decades since I was in the Marine Corps. I have it in my heart because there is one truth, and that is once a Marine, always
Marine?
a Marine. You are. It's just we don't understand the word quit. We don't understand the word can't. It doesn't exist. I don't use it. I don't even know if I know how to spell it. And it's pretty simple words, but I just don't. And so when you become in my world as an entrepreneur, you have to have a lot of skills to be a good entrepreneur. And I've started multiple companies. Some have been to 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and it's search for that answer.
Mm,
It's find that answer. if you've got a problem, don't let it stop you. If I see a wall in front of me, I'm not going to let it stop me. I don't care how big the wall is, how thick it is, or what it's made of. I'm either going to go around it, under it, over it, through it, or I'll call in air support and I'll blow the hell out of it. But by God, I'm going to get on the other side. And that gets back to the word belief in the faith. I believe I can do it. And so what is it? Now, this isn't working correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got to move it a little bit, move the direction a little bit, and all of a sudden, it's no different, I'm sure, than when you armor a plane up. It's just not fitting quite right. Oh, there it went. It's just a little bit, just a little twist. So I think what the Marine Corps really gave me or instilled in me, and I was raised well, so with a lot of responsibility, a sense of urgency. Get it done. Do it now, do it completely, and follow through. And when you've done all that, and you do it to the best of your ability, you don't have any excuses to not succeed.
So I would say, how do you balance that never quit mentality that you receive from the Marine Corps with knowing when to pivot, when something's just not going to work, and how to pivot? How do you reconcile that?
I believe it's a sense. I just believe it's a sense in you that you learn as you go because you try so hard that you're not going to let something get in your way, and you have to look ahead. You have to have vision. You have to be able to see down the road. A good example of this is a company that I started after I got retired from the fifth largest corporation in America when I was a district manager. They put me out to pasture when I was 41 years old. I've been retired since I was 41. Well, I've been retired multiple times, but I was a risk because I had so many surgeries and my paralysis was getting so bad. And it slipped out of my mind. Paralysis was getting so bad.
Yeah. So
Ask me your question.
yeah. So basically, how do you balance that never quit mentality that you learned from Marines? And
That
knowing
was
to
it.
pivot?
And I started this one company, and everything, I could see that it just wasn't doing what I thought it would
Mhm.
do. So I immediately started to pivot then, and I found another section that worked really good. So I went along that lines, and we went from one kind of a direction to another one, a little bit more, and then we expanded into wide format printing, trade show displays. We put trade show booths together. They went all around the world, Jakarta, Indonesia. Back when we were kind of friends with Russia, we had Russian oil fields that we were working in and stuff, which I guess that kind of went to hell, didn't it? And, I mean, if we want them, I guess now we're going to have to take them.
Yeah.
But the issue was that at one point I had a request from several people for a video company. So I
Mhm.
started a company called Quest Productions, and we did the video. We did some video work, and we did this. I had the equipment. I invested in the equipment. I invested in the people, and about a year, not even a year into it, maybe 8 months into it, I just didn't have a good feeling about it. And I
Mm.
think you know what I'm talking about. Like I have a feeling something's going to happen today. Something's just not right with this product, or that what their mindset isn't correct. And I started to really get into it. And I had a hope for it because of the request, but I didn't have a belief and a faith in it that it was going to do everything I did. So I cut the cord. I got somebody that bought the equipment almost for what I paid for it. We'd made enough money to cover the difference, and I let the people go, and I just moved and went on. But I believe if you don't truly believe in it and have the faith, getting back to those words, in being 76, I mean, I've lived this many times. And I started out very young as an entrepreneur. When I was a kid, I was doing that. I was selling gourds to, growing them in an area that we couldn't farm. It was behind a creek. And so I learned very young about this is going to work or that's not going to work. And
Mhm.
so you pick up that experience a lot. It just becomes an intuition.
Mm.
It's learned. What do they call that? Learned wisdom.
Yeah. Yep. It is through traveled experience.
That'd be the word.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Let's talk about faith because we kind of skirted around it a little bit. What role did faith play when you got tired of fighting? Did it ever get complicated for you?
No, never, never. My faith. I would say that my faith. I had perfect Sunday school attendance. I went to church enough, but not a whole lot. But I don't think I knew what I should know and believe what I should believe or needed to believe till I broke my neck in a swimming accident when I was 31 and a half. And the prayer that I got when I was told that I was never going to move from the shoulders down again,
What?
when I was 31, I jumped in a swimming pool and I had a compression fracture and it broke my neck in 4 places. And but I had a gentleman, my wife, I was married 3 weeks the day that it happened, and my second marriage, and my wife said, "There's a gentleman here who'd like to say a prayer for you." And I met him in the waiting area. And so if you can, blink a couple of times, which I did because I was paralyzed. And anyhow, and the guy's name was Tom Cooper. And this is 44 years ago, last July 4th. And I remember it to this day. I blinked my eyes, and he prayed for my health. He prayed for the family. He prayed for my wife. He prayed for that I could be able to accomplish what I would want to accomplish and try. Well, he came and visited me, all that. And, I've looked back over these years, Michael, and I've always wondered, speaking of faith, because it's very strong, is if I had not accepted that prayer, would I have ever been able to achieve what I achieved? Because I would look at that as kind of rejecting God. And this man went to a church in a city that had, and the church was about 5,000 people. And so it had 3 services every Sunday, 1,200 to 1,500 people. And he went to every service and always asked for prayer for me. And they all stood and they all prayed for me. And our church back in my home little farm town did the same thing. And as much as I worked at PT and OT, and I overworked so much and I overdid it so much, they were worried about me. They even said, you don't just work to the point of exhaustion, you work past the point of exhaustion.
Exhaustion.
But I'm an old jarhead. I don't know anything but work. Work, 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 work. You work hard enough, you'll get what you are
Yeah,
trying to
because
get.
you're putting yourself in that
It's,
position.
it's a commitment. It's a commitment. It's discipline. It's consistency. Never give up. Never give up. But on Sundays, when all these people were praying, I would get more movement back than any other day of the week. That's from prayer. In my mind, in my heart, I believe that's from prayer. That's the power of prayer. So that's what gives me my belief and my faith.
See that right there? That's so awesome. I remember like when I was in Okinawa, I met this marine pastor, and man, me and him, he taught me, he was like my mentor. We used to do prison ministry together for. I was there for 7 years on Okinawa, so I did it for like
Whoa.
4. The last like 3 years I was there. And that that moment established my faith, right? And, as I went through my life, it helps me to stay grounded, right? And so my question for you is like, you have your life, you talked about your marriage, your second marriage, you talked about the death and situation you went through, having kids, those big chapters, right? What did those hardships in your life teach you about love and being present when you don't feel strong?
It will come. You sometimes just have to wait. A lot of times you have to go through failure or experience a failed project or a failed dream to get to that new dream.
Yeah.
And from that failure pushes you forward. I just think you have to wait. Sometimes, good things
Right.
come to those who wait. And you have to have the belief. You've got to have either you have it and you believe it or you don't. And I think that's it. You just wait. And you don't have to wait long usually.
Yeah, that's true. You don't.
But if you believe in it and continue to pray about it.
What's that one apology, that one conversation that changed your life for you?
My mother, about 4 months after I broke my neck, my mom and dad came to see me. Now, this is off the top of my head. This is off the cuff. I can probably think of 3 or 4 others, but one that really changed my life since we're talking about faith. She said, "Are you okay?" And I was just tired. I was really sore. I was beating myself to death, worked through the paralysis issue. And it wasn't like, woe is me.
Yeah.
But I did say to my mom, I said, "Why me? Why me? Mom, I'm not a bad person. I mean, I'm mischievous. I've thrown an outhouse in the lake before,
Yeah.
and the 2 guys that helped me were cops. So you know? I mean, I'm mischievous, but I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
So why me? And the reason I'm saying that, Michael, like that is I died when I'm 19 in the Marine Corps. I died from a drunk driver hitting me almost head on. And he did stay dead when I'm 23. When I'm 31 and a half, I break my neck, and I drowned and I paralyzed. And what is it that I've done? And she said, Jay, that was a choice you made to jump in that swimming pool. It was God that helped pull you out. It was God that talked to that woman and that man that jumped in to pull you out. She got me a book that's called, and you can find it. It's called Why Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Bad.
And I read that book, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. It's written by a Rabbi Cushman. And there's one passage in it that talks very simply, very quickly about a toddler crawling on the top of a table. And the little toddler's next to a window, and say they're 5 or 6 stories up in an apartment building, and the mother's cooking supper or cooking a meal.
Mm.
And the toddler gets a little close to the window and he falls out the window, falls to the ground, and dies. And so the question remains, why didn't God reach his hand out and stop that child?
Yeah.
Why didn't he do that? The child wasn't a bad, it didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
But he did. He violated the law of gravity
You did.
that was eons old since Earth was begun. So the mother was at fault, not the child, and not God. God didn't do it. The child did it, but he created the law of gravity. So all that kind of came back to made the choice to jump in the pool. And when I accepted that it was my choice, because I had some guys like you were going to come run up and throw me in, and I said, whoa, 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 I want to get my cowboy boots off and my billfold out, and then you can throw me in. And of course, I'm not going to let you throw me in. I'm going to jump in so you can't throw me in.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. So that was my choice. But if it wasn't for the good Lord, you can call it whatever. But I believe that. I believe that.
So, you're in your mid 70s, man. Oh, and you're still building. What really fuels you now? Is it legacy? Is it service? Is it providing something like to someone else? Is it joy? What is it?
Maybe a combination of all those, but as much of anything as I don't know the word quit. And I've spent almost 4 years of my life, Michael, in hospitals. I've spent 8, 9 months of my life mostly paralyzed. I spent 8 months in traction alone in a naval hospital. And I lost 4 years of my life. And I've lost a lot of my life, or the ability to do what I wanted to do or would have done and been a farmer and a pilot and all that. So I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to get a shirt that says die, then quit. I'm not going to quit, then die. I'm not going to do it. I just believe that I think we all have an innate ability within us to do certain things. And mine is that I'll drive you crazy asking you questions or persevering or doing something. And you'll say, Jay, you're driving me nuts. I know my wife does it all the time, but I can't stop. I don't know what that word means. And I think that gets back to, I don't know the word quit.
So I would say, what's the difference between having this healthy obsession of yours, right? This drive, this innate drive to never quit and running yourself ragged. And also people who, in your case where you probably help seeing people where, well, I'll ask that question later. Like, but what's that difference between a healthy drive and an unhealthy drive to you? Is there any leeway or between that two?
It's all a healthy drive. It's all a healthy drive. It's all a healthy drive. I had a call from a gentleman before we were on. As a matter of fact, that's who I was texting.
Yeah.
He was a Marine Staff Sergeant. He's 45 years old. He's the CEO of a company that I'm also a major partner in and a very heavy investor in. We're now national and we're going international.
Wow.
We're expanding, but I'm 30 years older than he is, 31 years older. And so he looks more at me as a mentor and a visionary and experience. And so he reaches out to me or I will give it to him. So that's helping them grow. It's helping them, whether it's the children that we adopted. They're 8 years old now. We've had them since they were 3 weeks old. So when we adopted them at 3 years, it takes a while.
Mhm.
And now they're, excuse me, oh my gosh, I'm hurting.
Mm.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. But it's just like this, push through the pain. And as long as you're helping somebody, and I believe very, very strongly, the more people you help, the better person you become.
Mm.
And I believe that with all my heart. And what is it going to hurt to try to help you? The worst that you can do is tell me to go away.
That's true. That's true. Like, no, thank you. Yep, that is true.
That's the worst thing that can happen is you say no thanks. But I tried. And when I get, hopefully I get to the pearly gates and they'll say, you tried. That or they'll just say, "Oh my gosh, he's a Marine. We better let him in." No, I don't know. I'm joking. I'm joking.
You
I
talk,
spent,
you talked about those years that you lost, right?
yes, sir.
And man, it's pretty funny. It's not funny that you lost those years, but it's like it's funny how like things correlate. How would you say you define the word success? Because you lost so many of those years, right? In chapters of your life.
Yes, sir.
How do you define that? That do you define in those how do you define your success in those dark times?
I don't know that I can. I think maybe it's things that I would have been able to do had everything been normal and nothing would have happened. And I just been able to walk and get up and walk out of this room instead of start my wheelchair and go through it. But I just believe it's a calling that
Yeah.
there's just there's something in me that God put in my heart to do. And when I was raised with the fact that if our closest neighbors were a mile and a half away. But if somebody that was 5 miles away had their leg taken off in a corn picker accident, the farmers got together. My dad would get a bunch of people together, and we go down and harvest all of their crops in 2 days.
Wow.
Okay, and or if your family was sick
Uh-huh.
and they're really sick. I mean, they got the flu, they're down, everything's bad. We might go out and we'll feed your cattle, we'll feed your hogs, we'll do what we need to, and we'll bring you a big pot of stew and some banana pudding and whatever else, and feed you and help you. And so that came from within me. And when
Mhm.
my dad passed away, when my dad passed away, I remember a lady coming through the line, and I was almost cried out. And we had people coming from 300 miles away to see to pay condolences to my mother. And there was a lady came through the line, and she said, you know, Mrs. Setchell, I don't know that you know me by any means, but and this was 1985. So my dad died 40 years ago. And she said, I don't know that you're going to know me by any means, but in 1957, my husband lost a leg in a corn picker accident. And she went through how, we put everybody together and they took all the crops in and stuff. But she said, I wanted something that was so special. Now, this is 1985. She said, your husband, Mr. Setchell, showed up at, between Christmas and New Year's and gave me $300 towards fuel and food. $300 in
Wow.
1957 was
Yeah.
probably even
5,000. Easy.
yeah, and fuel oil was 3 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
So she had heat through the winter. She had enough money to buy the basic needs of food that she would need, plus whatever they grew in their garden
Wow.
and canned. So that I cried so hard. I mean,
Yeah,
and
I bet.
it puts tears in my eyes now because that's what makes you wonder, can I ever live up to what my father did for
Yeah.
other people? So to me, it's not about doing a thing, it's why you're doing it. When we started building houses 10 years ago, and we quit 2 years ago, well, it was 9.5 years ago, we did a lot of money. We did a lot of money, but it wasn't about the money. It was about building a quality product. It was about building the best product.
Yeah.
Not good, not better, the best.
Yes.
And we did it because, and if I saw that you had your mother show up, and your mother's 75, I okay, and she's on a walker, I would say, Michael, why don't we, while we're building your house, let's go ahead and put a ramp in from your garage into the
Mhm.
house, and let's put a ramp in adjacent to the stairs in the front. You only got 2 stairs, but we'll put a ramp in, no extra charge. It's just part of what we should do. We also put handles, door handles, not doorknobs, where you use because if you got arthritis or you're paralyzed or whatever, you can't turn it, but you can use your elbow,
Yep.
you can get that. And so a combination of all that kind of stuff put together,
Mhm.
I think looking out for the betterment of other men and women, I think other people, they're God's children and doing your best. That's what keeps me.
You kinda talked about it a little bit with your dad, and this is a personal question, so if you don't wanna answer it, you don't have to. You've been described, I would say, me doing my research, as resilience, like a resilience teacher, a resilience guru, right? But you're also just talking to you, a real person. And what I mean by that, a man's man. What is something that you still, I would say, wrestle with that people would never guess that you wrestle with because of the things you went through in your life?
Wow. I tell you what, it puts tears in my eyes because I don't know that I have a direct and straight answer. It's more of I don't want to disappoint the man that's helped save my life or has kept me here. And I want to do the best I can do
Yeah.
to satisfy why he's got me here and kept me alive.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to give it my all. So when I show up in heaven or I show up to be applied to heaven, I'm going to be scarred and torn up and burned and paralyzed. And he knows that I did my job.
Yes. I gave
That's
it
what
all.
I gave my all. Yes, sir.
Man. Wow. Last question for me.
Yes, sir.
And this is for the listeners, the viewers, the people who's going to see this at different times and stages of their life, who quietly quit on themselves, who are probably too tough on themselves, right? What would be the first move you would tell them to make in the next 24 hours to those people who quietly quit on themselves?
I would think that people that have quit on themselves, as you're saying, are probably trying to be perfect, if you will. And perfection is God's business, not our business. Don't try to be so good all at once. Do it a little bit at a time. Do it a step by step. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Take a little bit at a time. Work on it. Nothing comes overnight. Not any of my wisdom, if you will, none of my outlook. It's been a combination of things I've gone through. When I was 17 years old, I got a broken right ankle out of it and cut my right leg open some. But I came within another 2 seconds. I would have been ground up in a feeding auger just like a hamburger. And when I was 7 or 8, I'm stepping on nails going up through my feet and up through my boot and through my shoes. So I've never quit. It's just like wow. I just think you can't be perfect. Just keep trying, keep working at it, keep going. It gets back to the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise won the race because the hare got out in front. The rabbit got out and go boom, 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 boom. And guess what? He lays down and sleeps, and the old tortoise just kind of walks on by.
Mhm.
So do a little bit at a time. Work on yourself a little bit at a time. A little bit is
Well,
a lot better than none.
yeah, it is. It is. It is.
That's what.
Jay Satchel, thank you so much for being on Unfiltered Conversations. I enjoyed this conversation, especially with another military veteran.
Thank you, sir.
As you would say, a jarhead, when I would say,
Jarhead.
I would say a Marine, a man through and through, man's man, simplify. So thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
joining us. Enjoy. Be blessed. Bye.
God bless. Thank you much.